Joel Ranke with Mountain Multimedia, giving you some first steps into PHP instead of just doing HTML coding for basic websites. What this will do is give you a method for taking the repetitive elements on any website and taking them out and putting them into separate files that can be maintained on their own. So like the header, the sidebar, and the footer of this page would go into their own PHP files and be referenced in the main document here, while the content area, which would be dynamic per page, would remain on the main file, so that you have a nice way to do templating for a website without having to use the Dreamweaver method, which can be a little bit cumbersome. So you'll be having to, after you've set your website up, you can be using Dreamweaver or Notepad++ and do it just by text, but this is just a way to set up a page for starters and move from there. So go into the code view. Now this is going to assume you have some familiarity with working with HTML, but you don't have to be an expert by any means. What you're going to do is go up to the top of the document and start selecting the text, and we're going to start here and go all the way down to where the header ends, because this represents the beginning chunk of code that will be repetitive. So go ahead and cut that and open a new file, and just, you don't need that. Paste in all the elements you chopped out of the main document, and we're going to save that as PHP file. I'm going to call that head.php and save that. And so in this file we don't need to do anything with PHP at all. We just leave it simple HTML code chunk, and then we go back to the original document and start going into PHP here by opening it up that way, and use include, and head.php is the file name we created. Put a semicolon at the end and the closing of the PHP. So what we've done here is we've simplified the page, which could be index.php or page.html, doesn't really matter. And then we could do the same thing for the sidebar if you know that the sidebar is repetitive on all pages. But if it's going to change on each page, then you could leave this on the page. Let's say it was the same throughout the whole website. You go like this. And get it out of your hair too. And this just separate. You could put it in the head as well, but just you can separate them out if there's some value to having these chunked out into separate blocks. Then finally, to get this even nicer, we would cut that code out, put it in a separate file called footer.php, and then use the same method, and that. And now your file for each page is going to be a lot shorter and easier to manage, and you can change everything in the main content area while leaving the repetitive elements alone for the rest of your website. Hope this has been a helpful tutorial, and if you enjoy these informative tutorials, please subscribe to my YouTube channel up above in the corner. Thanks.